So during the game in midweek, we saw Leeds approach United's 3-1-6 possession shape with a lopsided 4-4-2 that resembled a 4-3-3 at points, with Gnonto retaining a higher position on the left, sitting level with the front line, ready to press Dalla when he dropped into a deep wide position in the back three, with Somerville on the right side sitting deeper in the midfield line as Malacia would push up and invert alongside Sabitzer, giving United a 3-2-2-3 in possession, using a double pivot rather than the single pivot that they had used in the 2-2 draw at Old Trafford. But United still faced the same problem as they did in the previous game. But before I go any further, let me tell you about the sponsor of today's video, footballteamgame.com, which is an online game on mobile and PC, which allows you to build your own club and then compete against other people's clubs, but most importantly, it allows you to create your own player as well. I've actually already created my own club, so you can join my club by just typing in Atlantis Football and joining. And from here, once you've created your player and joined the club, you can open up packs to get socks, shorts and shirts, which when applied and worn by your player can give them an overall attribute boost in certain areas. But you can also improve your player's ability via training. If you decided to create your player as a defender, for example, you could improve their overall defensive play or their anticipation. If your player is a midfielder, then maybe stamina and playmaking ability is more important, and obviously if you're a forward, it's going to be the offensive play that you want to work on. When creating your own team, you can also choose the system you want to use. Maybe you want to use a 4-3-3, and it also allows you to apply different tactics as well. The game is completely free to play and you can play online by joining footballteamgame.com, and when you sign up you can join my team Atlantis Football as well. So if you like the idea of creating your own team or your own player, then footballteamgame.com is definitely going to be of interest to you, so I'll leave it linked in the description below. Which was that Leeds' press was very horizontally and vertically compact, whilst also being well coordinated, which meant that they did an excellent job of having the front two of Harrison and Bamford cutting the passing lanes into Sabitzer and Malacia, and essentially forcing United out to the wide positions in the back three, from where they could then look to assert an aggressive trigger press. And like against Leeds at Old Trafford, United struggled to progress the ball through the centre of the pitch, mostly being forced long or down the flanks, and so they didn't get in many creative positions in the final third, which explains why going into half time, Leeds had recorded an XG of 0.82, with United recording almost half of that with 0.48, clearly showing that United didn't really create anything of substance in the first half. Even throughout the whole match, United only recorded an XG of 1.30 to Leeds' 1.89, showing that sometimes in games like this, it's the quality of your individual players, in particular your attackers, that can win you games, even if from a tactical and statistical point of view, you didn't necessarily do enough to win the game. And the main reason as to why United struggled creatively, to me, stemmed from their ability, or should I say lack of ability, to progress the ball from the middle to the final third, particularly when Leeds were able to get back behind the ball and sit in their narrow 4-4-2, 4-3-3 shape. And this is because I think with Sabitzer and Fred in that double pivot, and even Malacia as well, who would invert into the two ahead of the back three at times, United don't really have that player who can receive the ball under pressure, turn out quickly, and then either carry the ball past the opposition's midfield line, or find an incisive pass into a player between the lines. There was a number of times in this game, as well as in the game on Wednesday at Old Trafford, where I thought Sabitzer, but Fred in particular, were far too cautious when receiving possession, often opting to play a pass straight back to the back line when they received the pass in behind Leeds' front two, even when they had the space to potentially turn and look to play forward, whilst Fred by the end of the game had actually improved, completing 5 passes into the final third, which was the most of any player on the pitch. There were a few occasions where I felt that if either Casemiro or Ericsson were receiving the ball in that area, they would have been able to turn and find a progressive pass forward, and thereby moving United's attack forward a lot quicker rather than simply retaining possession. So I think it's the press resistance of both Casemiro and Ericsson that Ten Hag's side currently lack, as with players of that technical ability in the single or double pivot, United against Leeds' narrow hexagon shape could have played a pass into one of the double pivot, and as a Leeds defensive shape condenses to try to win the ball, they have the ability to play a first time or at least a quick pass after a first touch back out of the hexagon, effectively becoming somewhat of a wall for United to bounce the ball off, in order to indirectly move possession from one of the centre backs to the players between the lines or in behind the Leeds midfield, and then take advantage of the space they find themselves in. But I also felt that Maguire in that deep central position in the back line didn't aid things by being incredibly slow to circulate possession. In that almost sweeper-like position as the deepest point in the possession shape, the role of the player, which is usually a centre-back for Varane when he plays, but it was Maguire in this game, is to efficiently keep the play circulating by always providing an open passing lane for either of the two players wide of them in the back three or the midfield single pivot to play a pass into, rather than providing the incisive or long passing creativity to progress the attack forward, as is expected from players like Dalot, Shaw and Lisandro Martinez in those wide positions in the back three. This central player the majority of the time just has to move the ball on quick, as the quicker he can release the ball to the other side of the pitch or break the forward line with an incisive pass into the Manchester United midfield, the less time the opposition players have to shift across and get set in their defensive shape. But Maguire in possession does this incredibly irritating thing of slowing the pace of the game down to a walking pace and sometimes even bringing the ball to a static point before then moving it on, which in my opinion is the exact opposite of what he should be doing. The player in the centre of that back three should be trying to inject pace into possession rather than taking it out as Maguire does. And so combine Maguire's lack of urgency with a lack of press resistance and quick passing under pressure in that deep central midfield area, and you have the perfect recipe for United struggling to break through Leeds' defensive shape and predictably being forced out to the wide positions, from where Leeds would then look to initiate a trigger press, often resulting in United conceding possession or going backwards. And so in a game like this where United were struggling to break through via their short passing, we eventually saw them go a lot more direct, with one avenue being a long pass into Wout Weghorst, with Diego Dalot often looking for that floated long pass into the Dutchman, who would drop off between the lines and looking to receive the ball either on his chest or to his feet before laying the ball off to Fernandes or Fred backing up the play. And so we saw that Weghorst can be a very effective link man, and so by utilising the long passing ability of players like Dalot, Shaw or Lisandro Martinez in United's back line, United can, instead of looking to play through an aggressive press, can instead look to go more direct with Weghorst as a target. But United's most effective route towards goal came more through them transitioning the attack quickly after a turnover in the centre of the pitch, as this was often where Leeds' midfield were most stretched, and so United could move the ball through the space before Leeds had the chance to condense and close off the space centrally. Here we see a Sabitzer wins a header, moving the ball into the path of Jadon Sancho. The winger instantly sees the opportunity at releasing Fred, who has anticipated United winning possession and has already broken in behind McKennie. And so when he receives the ball first time from Sancho, he has the space to open out his body, and because Rashford is holding a high and wide position, Fred is able to instantly release Rashford down the left, creating a 1v1 situation against Ayling in the box. Now if you watched either my video analysing the 2-2 draw at Old Trafford, or my analysis of the opening Rashford goal in this game, both of which will be linked in the description, you'll see that I was mentioning United needing more positional rotation between the player in the wide position in the back three, along with the winger and central midfielder on that side. And that is how Rashford's headed goal was created, with Wan-Bissaka's forward movement dragging Gnonto backwards, creating the space for Sabitzer, who would be key in progressing the ball into Shaw in the final third. I have already analysed that goal in detail, so I'll leave that video linked in the description in case you want to check that out. But even though United did use this sort of positional interchange to open the scoring, I did think that they didn't do it enough throughout the whole match. I think ideally we would have seen United do what they did for Rashford's goal, which is because Leeds want to congest the central areas and cut the passing lanes into United's deeper players by instructing United's midfielders to vacate those positions and sit outside Leeds' hexagon defensive shape. United would then be able to funnel the ball around Leeds' 4-4-2. Here if Sabitzer drops deep and Gnonto follows the movement of Dalot up the flank, Sabitzer has space to receive the ball and carry it forward, whereas if Gnonto seeks to retain the high and narrow position to apply pressure to Sabitzer, then this leaves Dalot free in space on the right, potentially allowing United to create a 2v1 situation on the flank. But if United's first goal came from a well-orchestrated move, progressing the ball beyond Leeds' set defensive shape, the second goal was quite the opposite, coming after Fred and Weghorst did well, not for the first time in this game, to win a loose ball in the centre of the pitch, which both players have a very advantageous knack of doing, allowing United to regain possession, and Fred plays a forward pass into Weghorst, who shows his ability to link the play with a first-time ball releasing the on-running Garnacho in behind McKennie. And from here Garnacho uses his acceleration and direct dribbling that I often feel Sancho and Antony lack to stride beyond Robin Koch before getting into the box and taking the shot at the perfect time before Vobba could come across and close him down. And I think the fact that he goes towards the near post catches Meslier off guard, with it looking like going to the far corner would be the better way of shooting, but Garnacho gets his shot towards the near post inch perfect, and so it hits off the inside of the post and bounces into the far corner of the net, giving United a 2-0 lead and making the game a lot more comfortable for the last 10 minutes or so. So overall, I actually thought United played better in the game against Old Trafford, despite only picking up a draw in that game. In this game at Ellen Road, United had similar problems to the ones they faced at Old Trafford, struggling to progress the ball through the centre of the pitch, with Leeds' defensive system doing an excellent job of stopping United progressing the ball through the centre of the pitch. But I also think both Casemiro and Eriksen's absence from that central midfield area played a massive part in United struggling in this game, but it was Marcus Rashford yet again who proved to be the match winner with another sensational header. And he's really beginning to elevate himself from a player in fantastic form to almost a clutch player for United at this point. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that video, make sure you give it a like, subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you do get notified when my videos come out. You can check out some of my previous videos, including my analysis of Rashford's goal in this game and the first game at Old Trafford, which will both be linked in the description below, and put your thoughts in the comments section as well.